Hey, you guys. So today I want to challenge you on something because we're coming up to the end of the year and maybe you're not where you thought you would be when it comes to your goals or maybe even your expectations of what would happen this year. And if that's you, I'd be willing to bet that there is a little lie in there that you're starting to believe when it comes to the progress that you've made. So let's spend a little time talking about what that lie is and how you can overcome and move towards your goals in life and money. But first, do me a favor and make sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons to keep this content coming back to you. All right, raise your hand if you've ever believed the lie, if I can't do this thing perfectly, then it's not worth doing at all. Anybody? Okay, I'm not a huge perfectionist. I'm more like, get it done. And if it's not done perfectly, but it's done, I'm good with it. But then I talked to some of my friends and they're like, oh my gosh, they have to do everything, so perfectly. And again, I think that there's a level of that yes, is good. Put in your best effort in life. I think that's really key. But also knowing like things are not going to go perfectly. So maybe you had a goal of paying off debts, but your payoff is a little off track. Or maybe you're wanting to budget, but you feel like, you just didn't get the hang of it and it just feels like it's messing up. Or whatever the goal is out there that you're like, man, I thought I was going to do this and it's just not panning out the way I thought it would. You are not alone. This has happened to me. It's happened to you. And we've all had setbacks like this. And it can feel like, your goal is just a lost cause because you didn't get it right. And I mean, I even see this kind of things in my kids, even this like perfectionism of like, I have to get this right. One of my sweet kids, like they lost their spelling list one week, and this particular child of mine, she is the perfectionist. And it's like everything has to be good and perfect, and she kind of worries about it. And I just see this like little stress in her already in life. And she lost her spelling words one week, and it was just tears and tears. And, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I was just grabbing her hands, and I looked at her and I said, get a 0. Miss every single word on that test. You are fine. Like, this is not a life or death situation. You're in like the 2nd grade and you've gotten hundreds on every spelling test up until this point. You're going to be okay, because you know what's going to happen? If you get a 0, you're going to come home. It's going to be Friday night. We're going to watch a movie and eat pizza like we always do. And like life goes on. You're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. And of course, sweet girlfriend like goes and gets 100 on the spelling test. Now, my other children, we probably won't have that same conversation. It's going to be more like, why do you keep forgetting your spelling tests? Like, it'll be a different thing. So we love both sides of the coin, but if you are a perfectionist out there, I just want to encourage you to throw it out the window. Like, it is not worth it. Because what if I told you that failure was the actual first step of reaching your goal? Because if you're doing something new, you guys, it's going to feel weird. It's going to feel awkward. You're not going to do it perfectly, and that's okay. And it might seem weird to talk about failing as the first step of moving forward, but that is where this mindset change is going to be great for you. That if I'm going to fail somewhere along the way, and it's okay. I'm not going to do it perfectly. But when you think about things differently of what other people claim is just normal, it might seem weird at first, and that is totally okay. Because I want you to be weird, especially if that means that you're doing things intentionally, including how you spend your healthcare dollars. And one way to be intentional is with Christian Healthcare Ministries. CHM isn't health insurance. They're a health cost-sharing ministry that's helped hundreds of thousands of families like yours take care of healthcare costs without sacrificing their freedom. Programs start as low as $98 a month. So find out more and join at chministries.org/budget. That's chministries.org/budget. So if the only way you're going to reach your goals is by making progress perfectly, then you're probably never going to reach them, because the truth is nobody is perfect, shocker, and especially when you're trying something new. So if perfectionism or the fear of failure is holding you back, remember these couple of things. Number 1, start where you are. Like, regardless of what's going on in your life, just say, hey, I'm going to just make the first step. So maybe that's actually creating a budget. Maybe that's listing out your debts to see which one you want to pay off first. Like, it is just that first step, but start wherever you are. Start somewhere. Start now. All right, number 2, you might feel a little stupid. You might feel like, oh my gosh, I'm going to mess up this whole thing. And here's the deal. You might. Because just trying something new, you're not going to be good at it the first time, and that's okay. So again, throw this idea that, gosh, everything has to just go right every single step of the way. It's not going to. You're going to have setbacks. You're going to have to change some strategies, and that's okay. Number 3, nobody cares or thinks about you as much as you do. So just get out there. Some people have this fear of like, gosh, what if people see me fail? Nobody's looking. Let's be honest. Like, unless I guess you're screaming it from the rooftops everywhere you go, which that would be odd if you did that anyways. But like, nobody's looking for you to fail. I mean, if they are, they're a terrible person and you shouldn't think about them anyways. But I think we put so much pressure on ourselves sometimes of like, oh gosh, what are other people going to think? And the truth is they're thinking about that themselves. They're thinking, what are people going to think? Because they're thinking about themselves. They're not thinking about you. They're thinking about them. And that's the truth. So the goal in all of this, again, you guys, is to throw perfection out the window. And when you're not focused on being perfect, guess what? You survive your mistakes. And that Brene Brown quote I think is so powerful is that shame focuses on self, guilt focuses on behavior. So guilt says, yeah, I did something bad. I did something wrong. I messed that thing up, but it's okay. Where shame says, I'm bad, I'm messed up, I'm wrong. And you want to really pull those two things apart. Shame and guilt are two different things. So if you try something new and you fail, it's not that you're a failure, it's that you have failed in this. And that's okay. You get to pick yourself back up and try again. And sometimes when you're struggling to keep a goal or you're struggling with perfectionism, you need somebody in your life to hold you accountable and say, you're going to be okay. That show the progress that you're making, show yourself grace. Like you need some of that encouragement. So if you need somebody to walk with you through that, I think it is so powerful, especially when it comes to our financial goals. So I would encourage you to check out Financial Peace University. There may be a class in your area. Maybe you can do it online, but having a community around you is really key. So I will put a link below to make sure to check that out in the show notes. And if one of the goals you're trying to reach has to do with investing, number 1, I want to encourage you, investing is a great way to build wealth. But number 2, it can be super confusing, which is why I want you to avoid some of the common investing mistakes. So keep watching to find out 7 investing mistakes to watch out for. And we'll leave a link to that video in the description. And if you're listening on podcasts, I'll leave a link to the next episode. All right, you guys, remember to take control of your money and create a life you love. So when you decide that you want to take control of your money and start making big financial progress, one of the first steps to really help you do this is to increase your income. Now, this doesn't have to be forever, but picking up a side hustle is a great way to make some extra cash to put towards your savings or getting out of debt. So today I'm going to react and rate a list of side hustles based on how likely I would be to try them. And later I'm going to share my personal results from a custom tool that will help you figure out the perfect side hustle for you. So stay tuned. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share this episode with a friend. All right, I did want to tell you about one of our incredible resources. I kind of just mentioned it, but the Ramsey's Personalized Side Hustle Quiz from George Kamel is fantastic. It's a proven framework to really help you figure out how to work smarter, not harder, with your unique qualifications and needs. And it takes 5 minutes and it's completely free. You can go to RamseySolutions.com/side hustle. Now, I have taken this and I will share my results with you guys at the end of the episode because it helps you kind of think through some stuff. But there are some really creative side hustles out there. And so let's talk about a couple of them. Number 1, doing other people's laundry. So I was on Instagram and there was some reel about this woman who was doing this. And you guys, she was making like thousands of dollars a month by doing it. And so she would literally, people would drop off laundry at her house or she'd pick it up and she would take an afternoon or after work at night and do laundry, fold it beautifully, like put it right back into their laundry baskets. She like had this like cover over everything to keep it all clean. And she would do people's laundry and it was incredible. Now, the thing is laundry, I don't mind doing like the washing. Obviously I'm not like hand washing, but having a washer and dryer, that doesn't bother me. I'm not a great folder. It kind of like kills Winston a little bit because like my towel folding, it's not like perfect. I'm not like OCD about it. And so I probably would not be great at this. So for myself, I'll probably like rate this low, like on a scale from 1 to 10, I'll give it like a 3. If I was really good at folding and enjoyed it, I go like 8 because I think you could charge a lot for this. Like I genuinely think you can make so much money doing this and you could do it when you're home at night. And again, making some extra cash. I think it's really creative and great. Number 2, lawn care and landscaping, or just watering other people's plants. Okay, people pay for this, you guys. It's amazing. Just to mow some yards, do some stuff like that. Like, you can make some quick cash doing this. Now, I'm not OCD. I'm not detailed, so I probably wouldn't be great at this. Now, watering plants all day. Or we have people in our neighborhood that have these big gardens, and they will like text out and be like, hey, does someone have like a teenager to come over and like help with the garden, like while we're gone, like watering everything, picking stuff? I'm like, oh, I could do that. I would do that. So I'll give that rating for me like an 8, because I think I could really do that, and you can make some great money. Love it. Number 3, detailing people's car seats. Okay. I'm not OCD, but I like cleaning something. Like, think about all of the crumbs and the stains and like, oh my God, kids are so gross. I know it. We had car seats for so long, and oh my gosh, there's so much. And those dang car seats where the seatbelt goes underneath the seat and you got to slam it, lock it in and all of it. Stuff gets in there. So gross. I mean, it's so gross. But people will pay to have these things clean because people don't want to clean them. No. So all day I will take it. Now, make sure that you follow the proper cleaning guide based on each car seat. Make sure you're doing that because, again, I think there's really like specific ways, especially if there's certain materials. So make sure you're doing it correctly and you don't damage the integrity of the car seats. But all of it, I don't know, it's so satisfying to me. And isn't it weird? Because like I could clean people's car seats and it not gross me out. I don't know why. I guess I'm just used to it. So I'm going to give it a 9. Because I think I can do a good job. Even though I'm not OCD, I like seeing progress where I'm like, oh yeah, this is dirty, now it's clean. Kind of like it. All right, number 4, organizing closets and pantries. Now this is also very satisfying. And this has kind of become a trend. Thank you, Home Edit. I feel like they like kind of started this like 10 years ago, made it really cool. But a lot of people are creating like their own businesses around it and in their area. And I think it's great. So if you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm really good at, managing clutter and you're like really good at making something beautiful, this could be your gig. Going in and organizing closets and pantries and all of it. Fantastic. I'm going to give it a 5. I don't know how great I would be at this, but it sounds really satisfying and great. All right, before I rate the rest of these creative side hustles, I do want to tell you about one of our sponsors, Christian Healthcare Ministries. You guys, health insurance costs are only moving one way, and that way isn't down. The wait times are longer, and it's harder than ever to get anything approved. If you feel like the system is working against you, try Christian Healthcare Ministries. It's a biblically based alternative to health insurance. CHM is a health cost-sharing ministry that's helped hundreds of thousands of families like yours take care of healthcare costs, stay true to their values, and avoid getting tied down by miles of red tape. There is a better way. CHM programs start as low as $98 a month. So find out more and join at chministries.org/budget. That's chministries.org/budget. Number 5, selling sourdough or other baked goods. So a lot of people are on this trend and it's incredible. Like people that can do this and they do it really well, like people flock to them. I mean, it's amazing. And so I love it. I would say, man, for me, I don't know how great of a baker I am. I'm going to go 6 or 7. Like I think I could really do this. But people make, and they do like stuff for parties or baby showers, like, specialized cookies and all of it. So it's a great side hustle. Number 6, food prep. There are so many people that want to eat home-cooked meals because they're just slammed at work or they don't want to cook when they get home. And so if you can package and prep meals for people, that is an easy way to make some extra cash. And I've heard people do this, and it's incredible that you can just like hire someone and be like, hey, I need, 4 different meals, and some of them can be frozen too. So you like make a batch and they can be split up into like 3 different lunches. This one could be 2 different dinners and like all this stuff. Incredible. I'm going to go 8 out of 10 on that one. I like it. Number 7, cutting kids' hair. So if you are a quick learner with a good eye and you love kids, this could be a skill that pays off in the long run if you invest in some training, because it is like, supply and demand. Hair is always going to be growing. And when you go to kid-specific people, there's something about it that they're really good because they have like stuff usually like around, or they've like, I remember this one lady went to and she had an iPad literally and the kids watched as she cut their hair and they didn't even know that was happening. They knew nothing. They were just watching an iPad. I was like, that's so brilliant. You know what you're doing with kids. It's incredible. So I like that. I'm going to go, 6 or 7. Love it. Number 8, placeholders. One of our team members told us that her brother and his friend made money by standing in line for people at the DMV. I mean, what? And there's an app too, apparently, that you can, if people like want to get into a restaurant or get into a concert or something, they will wait in line for you and you pay them to do it all day. I mean, I'll get my steps in, move back and forth, listen to a podcast or something. I would rate this an 8 or a 9 because, I mean, people will pay to get their time back. So I love it. Now, once again, for more side hustle strategies and personalized information that could work for you, make sure to take that quiz at ramseysolutions.com/side hustle. So my result was a professional, and my 3 main results were consulting, nannying, and event planning. But I like all of those. That's great. So getting these side hustles, you guys, making some extra income. It doesn't have to be forever, but when you make more money, it's going to help you get out of debt faster and save money quicker. So there is more where all of this came from. Make sure to check out the video, how to save $5,000 in 3 months. 4 easy money challenges to try. You can click here to watch it, or if you're listening on podcasts, click the link below. All right, you guys, remember to take control of your money and create a life you love. Well, hey, you guys. So one thing that I know for sure about life and money is that daily habits are what create true peace. There's almost never a get-rich-quick scheme or an expensive high-tech appliance that makes life easier and more stress-free. It really is the daily discipline of making small choices that have a high impact, which is exactly what we're going to talk about today. So I want to share 5 one-minute tasks that you can do to create and maintain a clutter-free life. And stick around till the end because I'm sharing my number 1 non-negotiable hack for keeping my money organized and in check. So first, let's just do a little imagining, shall we? Picture this with me. You're sitting on the couch scrolling through social media after dinner, and you promised yourself you're going to get up in 10 minutes to finish loading the dishwasher and putting the clothes away in the dryer. Then suddenly it's been 45 minutes and you haven't moved. And you give yourself another 10 minutes, and then another 30 minutes go by, and then another 30. And by the time you finally get yourself off the couch to finish those last 2 tasks, you're annoyed with yourself because you procrastinated doing something that literally took only 5 minutes and could have been done hours ago. Guilty as charged. So again, if that has been you, you are not alone. Majority of Americans are exhausted emotionally, physically, spiritually, professionally. And sometimes the simple things are the hardest things to do, especially if they're small enough to just keep putting off. And I totally get that. But I promise you, doing these 5 quick things will make a world of difference at almost no cost to you. So the first habit that's always a game changer for me is literally just making the bed. And I'm going to be the first to say it. I'm not great at this, but it is not that big of a deal. And that's what I tell myself. So if you are a working parent or a stay-at-home parent, like whatever it is, one of the best things that you can do is when you get up is just make the bed. And there's books written about this and like all of it. But I'm telling you, this one thing can give you a sense of control and peace when it comes to this space. So avoid feeling like you can't get stuff done and relax when something like this just takes you 60 seconds, okay? And it will, again, bring you this level of visual organization and decluttering that will actually make your morning routine go faster or more productive, or at least that's what the science says. But I believe it. So make your bed. Number 2, the second habit is to keep your life clutter-free is putting shoes away. There's nothing quite like walking in the door of your home and immediately unlayering from the day. And all you want to do is just kick off your shoes and relax. And you can, but just take those extra few seconds and put them in your closet. And if you have a spouse or kids, they need to go along with this one as well. We have a place in our house where the kids' shoes are. Amelia has a bin, Caroline has one, and Charles has one. I'm like, it's amazing. All the shoes, if you just put them in, it just feels great. And it takes 30 seconds, right? And you can do this as a unified effort if you need to get everybody doing this. But it is amazing. A small task that can create a lot of peace. And when everyone is doing their part, when it comes to putting their belongings in the right place, it actually takes like the kitchen and the living room and the back porch and all of that peaceful. And then when you have to leave the house and you're like, where are your shoes? You know where it is. It's like my biggest pet peeve, but it's amazing. When you have a place for it, there is less clutter, less things that you're tripping over. You know what's going on, and it's a small habit, but it's a great one. All right, the third 1-minute habit to declutter your life is empty the car when you get home. Now, again, I get it. Chaos is like part of my life, I feel like, especially if you're parenting kids and you're like one-on-one with them and you got 3 kids in the back and you're trying to do car seats and seat belts and drinks and snacks and you're running this and getting this bag and a towel for the pool and it's just everything. It is just chaos. But once you're done and you like put everyone inside, come back to the car and unload it. Again, it takes a minute, maybe a minute and a half. But what's going to be the best is you're taking out your coffee cup, you're taking out water bottles, trash, all of it, you're grabbing stuff, and you're done. And then when you get back in the car, there's a peace that happens because the clutter is gone. So make that a habit. All right, the fourth habit that makes a huge difference for me is having a designated place for kids' school stuff. Oh, this is a big one. Backpacks, sports bags, binders, homework, art projects, papers that come home from school, all of it. This can create so much clutter. So rather it just being a pile on the kitchen floor, have a place for it. Ideally like a closet or something that it can be put away, and every kid has an area that is theirs, okay? And this is amazing. So they put their backpacks there, coats. Again, this is where our kids' shoes are in our house. Everything is in a place. And then I got a bin that I empty their folders because, God bless elementary school kids, but they come home with a lot of worksheets. A lot. Love to see the schoolwork. Glad they're learning and all the things, but there's so many papers. And I don't have time every day to like go through each of them and be like, am I going to keep this? Not, because I will keep things that are like funny that they've written or something like really sweet or handprints. Like there's certain things I keep, everything else I trash. But I don't want to look for it every day. I don't want to look through everything. So I just put everything in a bin. And then probably like every 3 months, I take that bin down and I just go through it. It takes me about 10 minutes, but it's great. But having a place where everything goes, again, it takes a minute, 1 minute. And the clutter is gone and it just feels great. It feels organized, which is so key. All right, now it's time to reveal my number one habit for making my life peaceful and clutter-free. And this one is about money. And it really does affect every part of our lives because my fifth tip to staying organized and bringing you peace is to use a monthly budget. So budgeting is something that I am all about because it gives you such guidance and direction on where your money's going. And you're the one that gets to create the plan. It's up to you. You get to sit down and say, where do I want my money to go this month? Your income comes in. Where's it going to go? What's it going to do? And if you don't do this, I really do believe there's a level of subconscious angst and kind of stirring that happens. But when you have a plan, you have something visual that you know where your money's going, it is going to create peace. So if you've not downloaded EveryDollar, this is the best budgeting app. And you can create a free budget if you go to everydollar.com/Rachel, create that first budget and get in the habit. And again, once you do this each month, updating your budget month to month, it's going to just take a minute or two. It's really not going to take that long, especially when you're in the habit of it. But that is going to give you such peace. And if you haven't yet, make sure to check out my episode on lessons that I've learned from minimalists. There's some good stuff in there. All right, you guys, remember to take control of your money and create a life you love. I think most people would agree that having money is generally a good thing. And I agree that your income is your most powerful wealth building tool that you have. But I also believe no matter your paycheck or your tax bracket, money can destroy certain areas of your life without you even realizing it. So today we're going to talk about 3 ways that money might be ruining your life and some practical steps to get out of the cycle before it gets out of control. Okay, before we jump in, make sure to like, subscribe, and share this episode with a friend. All right, the first place that money can ruin you is your identity. Listen, we live in America, and the American kind of Western way of looking at things is that you want to be successful. Like in America, it is like, yes. And if you're successful, that's who you are. And it's an amazing thing. And money is a scorecard to represent that on how much money you make, how much money you have. But what happens is that our net worth and the money we have starts to become our self-worth. It starts to become who you are, from everything to the point of what you're buying, what you're experiencing with your friends and your family, to if you're producing and creating. What's so hard is to separate those two things, to say, okay, who am I without all my stuff, without all the success, without all the money? Who does that leave you with? And if you start to feel like, oh my gosh, well, if I'm not producing and creating value all the time, then I feel like I'm worthless. Like, am I still valuable? Am I good? And so money can start to creep in and mess with our identity. And I don't want you to do that. I want you to be able to separate your money from who you are. Because the truth is, it could be taken away. Like, what if it's all gone? What are you left with? So here are some ways to combat this. Number one, see money as a tool for taking care of yourself and others. That's what it is. It's not a measuring stick. It's not who you are. See money as this amoral thing that's out here. It's not good or bad, but use it as a tool for your life. Also, practice contentment. Contentment is going to bring such peace. I wrote the contentment journal. I'll put a link down below, but it really walks you through this process of practicing contentment, because you have to do that, and on a daily basis if you can, because this world around us will suck out this idea of like, you can't be happy unless you're doing this or this or this or have this. Contentment will bring peace. And then also make sure that your identity isn't in something that can be taken away. And so whether it's money in the bank, a job title, like whatever's going on in your life, if something can be taken away, don't put your identity in that. Another place in your life that money might be ruining is your relationship with others. You know, it can get to this point that if you start to win with money and you get more of it, some people start to gravitate towards people in their same income range. And then you end up, possibly without even realizing it, living in a padded world where you see no need of anyone else. You see no struggle because everyone just pays and figures out how to keep this appearance up. And you start to become out of touch. And in a sense, you can start to lack empathy and compassion for others. Now, also, if you see that you're enabling people's bad behavior with money, that's a place where it can ruin the relationship as well. Also, maybe you feel like, oh, I don't want to talk to my kids about money because like maybe we've done well, but I don't even know how to talk about it or how to show them. So I'm going to just avoid it. Or maybe you look up and your inner circle of people are full of yes people who are just there to like, be like, yeah, everything's great. Everything's fine. You're great, 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 great. You're doing everything great. And now we want encouraging people in our lives, but also you want some of those friends that like will tell you the real. Maybe you're feeling guilty about making more money than your friends, so you start to avoid those relationships. Maybe you and your spouse lack unity, and so you start to disagree more and more as you guys continue to make more money and build more wealth. So money can get into the cracks of our relationships and start to ruin them if we're not careful. Now, if that list hits home for you and you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm starting to spiral, there are really 3 easy ways to combat this cycle. But first, combat the threat of internet harassment and scams with Delete Me. If you don't remove your personal data from the internet, it's basically like a billboard because your name, your address, email, even your kids' names are out there on sketchy data broker websites. And these data brokers go and collect all of your data, they sell it, and that puts you at risk for scams and fraud. But there's some great news. Delete Me removes your data and helps protect you from phishing, harassment, and other online threats. Winston and I, we use Delete Me for our family, and it saves us so much time and worry. So you guys, your family's safety and financial security are way too important to leave exposed. So sign up for Delete Me and take control. Go to joindeleteme.com/Rachel for 20% off, bringing your monthly costs to under $9. Or you can click the link down in the description. Now, again, if you see that money is starting to ruin some of your relationships, a couple of things to keep in mind. Number one is to look up and out, meaning don't create a life where it's all about you all the time. Like when you actually look for the opportunities to help and serve other people, that is going to give you a level of humility and grace for others. And actually that starts to change who you are as a person. And then in turn starts to affect your relationships in a really positive way. Number 2 is to build a life that you love with your loved ones. Like look around and just be like, okay, what are things that I want to use money as to help enhance, not take away from these relationships? And then also make sure you're setting your kids up for success. So that's a relationship that's really important if you are a parent and if you are winning with money. That, of course, no one wants to raise entitled brats. Like, right? Nobody wants to do that. We don't go out looking for that. But if we're not intentional, that can actually start to creep in. And so creating an environment where they have to work, they have to have some level of grit, some level of sacrifice, doing things they don't want to do. Like every kid does that, right? But actually saying, yeah, you still have to follow through. Like there's things in life we don't want to do, but you got to do it. And you got to learn how to do that because that's going to give them the capacity for real life. And that's what we're trying to do, set them up for real life. And that also gives them dignity in themselves to know that they can do something. I was hearing some parenting expert on Instagram the other day. They're like, honestly, chores, like, yeah, connection between work and money, like all that's great. But what it does for their self-confidence and their self-esteem when they actually can show that they are adding value to the household does wonders for kids, even little kids. So start doing that. So don't let that relationship with your kids at all have any level of strain or cracks because of money. Let money enhance your family life, not take away from it. And number 3 is your relationship with God. So having money, I believe, can, not always, but it can make it harder for you to see your need for him. Because when things are just so convenient and something happens and you can like pay your way out of it, where it's like, oh, a flat tire, well, I have money, an emergency fund. Like I can just take care of that. Or something comes up and, you need to go to the doctor and you're like, oh yeah, well, our insurance doesn't cover all of this, but like we have the money to do it. And all of that is a good thing, right? Like we teach having an emergency fund and teach being responsible and wise with money. But there is a point that, again, it can become this Band-Aid where you just like life gets fixed and you're not looking above and you're not looking around saying, God, I want to lean on you more, because with money, it can be this pad where you don't need that. And so you want to make sure that your money doesn't replace your view of God, because having a higher power in your life, you guys, changes the way you make decisions. It changes your perspective. I believe it creates such peace and reason while you're here. So having that is huge. So that relationship with God is so key. And again, with money, we want to enhance that. So how do you enhance it? Well, number 1, remember that he is the source, that all good and perfect things, they come from him. Like he gives us the ability to go and make money. He's the one that's created and put passions and creativity in you when he created you. Like all of that comes from him. And there's something beautiful about saying, yes, I have to make smart decisions in my life to get better results in life. Like absolutely, for sure. Like we're a part of it. He brings us along, which is beautiful. But also when you look at the source from the beginning, it's all from him. And then second, remember, blessed are the poor in spirit. There is something to be said about this idea that when you're not carrying all these expectations of people around you, carrying, I think, baggage from your past, carrying this idea that this is who I have to be, and money then starts to be in those like cracks of all those things and starts to fill in those voids, that can set up a life that's like really heavy to carry. And so there is something beautiful about laying it all down and just saying, okay, God, what do you want me to do with all this? Like living life with an open hand. And humility helps with that. When we said earlier, like serving and giving, like that's a step in that right direction. There's something beautiful about just saying like, I don't have it all figured out. Like, God, like help me with all of this, right? And just that remembrance daily is so, so important. Now, remember, it is important to be aware of hidden ways that money can negatively affect you. But if you want to transform your life and your money, you also have to have those good habits, which are very important. So make sure to check out my episode 5, Money Habits That Will Change Your Life, if you actually do them. And if you're listening on podcast, I will put a link below. All right, you guys, remember to take control of your money and create a life you love. Figuring out money within the context of marriage, it can be challenging, and I think it takes a lot of intentionality and care over time. So let me see if I can save you some trouble and give you 5 money conflicts or mistakes to avoid so that your marriage can thrive. And make sure to like, subscribe, and share this episode with a friend. All right, the first money mistake that a lot of people make that I want you to avoid is not sharing a bank account. Now, listen, this is my number one area that I get hate for. People hate this so much. But listen, this is, to me, it's like a symbol of how you're viewing your marriage. And when you have separate accounts and he's doing his thing, paying these bills, you're paying these things and that bill, and you're Venmoing each other, like, at that point, you're not an integrated part. Emotionally, financially, spiritually, all the things. Like, there is something to be said when you choose to stand in front of your family and friends and say, I am choosing to get married to this person. That means you are choosing not to live a single life. You are choosing to do life with another. And that means, I have found, when you can do that on a deep level, and again, that is emotionally, spiritually, everything. When you are a team and you see yourselves and trust your spouse, and you can be so connected on all these elements of life, you have a deeper, more connected marriage. And money, that's not an exception. It is part of it. And the more you see each other as one, I think the faster you pay off debt, you build wealth, but also This level of knowing like I'm locking arms with this person and we're doing this life together as a household. So regardless of whose paycheck hits the account, if one of you works and one of you doesn't, or one of you makes more and one of you doesn't, but it hits the same account under a household, what are we going to do as a household together where we both have a say, we both have a vote? How are we going to take this money and further, what we want to do in life, how we can be generous and help others and all the things. So I think you just miss out a lot when you start to divide parts of your life and say, well, this part's mine and that part's yours. Now, I will always say, if there is an addiction that's not being addressed, if there is abuse, if there is something going on that you need your own money, 100%. I took a call in the Rams show last week and told a woman, drive to the bank right now and take out half the money in your account, you and your husband's account, and put it over, because he just got home from jail because she was being abused. Like, it's horrible. So I'm like, you have to protect yourself in certain situations, and those are very real. But if those are not happening and you're just kind of the run-of-the-mill marriage, I'm telling you, when you say, hey, we are one in every aspect, gosh, it is so big. And that includes even your checking account. All right, mistake number 2 is hiding money. So this can look different, some small things, some big things, but the outcome is the same. So whether it's like a random account that you kind of keep over here and you don't want your spouse to see and you just kind of do your own thing. Maybe you have a secret credit card and you're like, okay, I just have this over here and I just kind of buy what I want and figure it out over here. Like whatever it is, even down to like, I know we laugh about it on Instagram and all of it of like, I'm going to hide the Target bags because I don't want my husband to see, all of that just like level of secrecy. Again, some small, some bigger, it just can create problems. And I think there is something to be said about just true honesty. And if your husband has a problem with your Target shopping bag, then we probably need to talk about that. Like, are you spending too much? Does he need to loosen up and like not be a control freak? Like, I don't know. But then that ends up being a marriage issue. And that's what I love about when you are on the same page with money. Things come up in life and it actually reveals parts of your marriage that maybe you can work on to get a healthier, wholer marriage. All right, number 3, not making big purchase decisions together. So again, big purchases, and that can be a different dollar amount depending on where you are financially. So again, have a dollar amount that you both say, hey, we're not going to spend more than X without talking to each other about it. And this is just helpful because things will come up in life where like, oh my gosh, like, there's this thing that I want or we need, whatever that looks like. But when you can be on the same page again with bigger purchases, that is so helpful. Like the car commercials, which I know are commercials and it's TV and it's probably not even true, of like someone going and buying a car for a spouse and the spouse not knowing, like, we don't want that. No. If we're buying a car, we probably both need to know together if we're buying a car. So remember, big purchases you need to do together. All right, before I share number 4 and number 5, those mistakes, I do want to tell you about one of our sponsors, Delete Me. So those holiday promos can be great, but with every newsletter sign up and coupon code, you're giving your data away. And that personal info can easily end up with data brokers who sell it to spammers and scammers. And that is why I recommend Delete Me. The Delete Me privacy team digs through hundreds of those data broker sites to remove your data and keep it gone, which means fewer spammy texts and robocalls. And right now you can get 20% off at joindeleteme.com/Rachel with code Rachel at checkout. So do it today. Again, that's joindeleteme.com/Rachel, code Rachel. All right, the 4th mistake is thinking that your financial beliefs are the only way. So listen, there are some big values that you want to agree upon, just honestly to make life easier when it comes to money, meaning like we would like an emergency fund. Having some money saved seems like a great idea. Like if both of you are on the same page, that's great. Because some people are like, I don't care. I don't need any money saved. And if that freaks you out, like we need to know like, hey, saved money is smart. A debt, for instance, right? Like maybe you're okay with like, I don't care if we have this kind of debt or that kind of debt and your spouse is the same, whatever. But if you want to live a debt-free life, like that is a value system that you want to talk about. Giving, like all these things, right? The big things you want to be on the same page. But under those umbrellas, things can look a little different. So like Winston and I, we are different. And I do think spending money on a nice hotel is worth it. And he may look at the price tag and be like, this is insane. We could be buying X, Y, and Z with that. And so we're going to have different ways of viewing life. But if I just stay in my lane of experiences and what I want when I spend all the way, I do miss out on another opinion, another way of maybe doing things. So it takes a level of humility, but in those details of how your spouse may view something or want to do something and you're the opposite, which is going to happen, when you can actually put yourself in their shoes and understand where they're coming from, it just creates this like cohesive, not only communication, but a sense of like, oh yeah, we are different and we can both celebrate each other's differences. And I actually may learn from you if I allow myself to be humbled and just say, hey, I'm curious what you think. And if your spouse does the same thing, like when Winston's like, you know what, that was good. That was a great trip, what she said to me recently. And I was like, I know. All right. Number 5 is not being aligned on future goals. So where do you want to be? Now, I'll say this about goals. Winston and I sometimes are hit or miss depending on the year. Sometimes we have big goals that stretch over like 3 years or 2 years. And then once those big goals have been accomplished, I have found in 16 years of marriage, like we kind of take a break. We may have a year where we're like, oh yeah, we're going to just be in the routine. Like we don't have this like big thing that we're chasing. And then after a while, you're like, okay, what is our next thing? So I think it's a natural part of the rhythm of life to say, okay, let's look forward. And so for Winston and I, it's a fun thing that we do. We do a dream date every year where we just say, if money was off the table, what do we want? What do we want our life to look like? And so what that ends up being actually has been in the past for us were actual things that we implemented in our life. So whether it was, building a house, we had that like 10 years ago. That was on our dream list. Eventually a pool, certain trips with the kids that we're starting to want to check off the list, like things like that you're like, okay, let's just dream big. And it may not happen in that calendar year or even the next 2 to 3 or 4 years, but at least there's something to be said of like, okay, we are working together towards a collective goal where we're wanting our money to be. And when you're on the same page with that, it just makes life more fun. I'll be honest. Because if you're off doing this thing and he's off doing that thing and there's no alignment, like there's a part where you're like, oh yeah, you miss out. Like it's fun to do things together, right? So again, you're naturally going to have the things that you enjoy that your spouse might, but this bigger picture of goals overall, getting together and working, off the same sheet of paper, if you will, it is so, so helpful. So money and marriage, when you combine the two, again, it can be so difficult. So we actually created an event. It's a couple years old now with Dr. John Deloney and myself called Ramsey's Money and Marriage Getaway. And we have another one coming up. It is in February of 2026. And Dr. John Deloney and I, we spend all weekend with you and your spouse. And it is so fun. It usually starts on a Thursday night, all day Friday and Saturday. And this is one of my favorite events that we do. There's just something about getting in a room full of like-minded people, not perfect people. And that's the other beautiful thing is marriage is hard. It's messy. It can be exhausting. Like it's a lot and it's really fun and exciting, right? So you get both ends. And so we get to talk about these things, these important parts of our marriage, and money obviously is a big part. So that's kind of the portion I take over the weekend and John takes the marriage portion, and we just have a great time. So I'll put a link down below. See if you can get a spot before they're gone because they usually sell out, but we'd love for you to join us in Nashville. Now, in the meantime, did you know that a while back I shared the 3 best marriage tips my husband Winston and I have ever received? Well, I did a video on that. You can check it out right here, or if you're listening on podcasts, I will leave the link below. All right, remember to take control of your money and create a life you love. Well, hey, you guys. So since I am part of this world of personal finance, I always love hearing what other experts are teaching in this field. And a lot of us agree on really basic things, which is I appreciate, right? I mean, there are things that, pretty much anyone in this space, it's like car loans, not smart mathematically or financially. Like a lot of people agree on that. Maybe investing strategies are different. Maybe even the way we talk about debt is different. But I always find it interesting, people's nuances when they're teaching about money and their perspective on it. So whenever a book comes out around money, I usually try to read it. And my neighbors kept talking about this one book, and I was like, I've got to read it. It's called Die with Zero by Bill Perkins. And listen, y'all, it was a really interesting book. And I would say like 85% of it, I was like, all right, I could get there. So today I want to talk to you about some of my takeaways from that book, maybe a few ideas that we kind of differ on. But again, I think it's always important to learn, to grow, to understand people's perspective, because it could kind of shift some of yours in a good way. And I'd be curious what you guys think. So be sure to stick around to the end or drop your thoughts in the comments. Okay, like the title suggests, the main concept is to die with zero, which makes me very nervous already. But listen, he argues, the author, that says normally you would just leave an inheritance or money that you've, been saving your whole life, And maybe you have it designated to your kids, or maybe you have it designated to charity or whatever it may be. But would it be more fulfilling in your life if you actually did those things while you were alive? So there's a statistic that I heard recently that said you actually need the most money when you're around like 26 to 38, because that's when people are putting down payments for homes. People are, replacing cars. They're paying off their college debt. Like that age time period is really expensive. So he would argue, instead of leaving an inheritance to your kids, why don't you just give them some money now that's going to help them in their life propel forward, which I thought was really interesting. Now, before I share the main points of the book, I want to tell you about one of our sponsors, Christian Healthcare Ministries. So when you go against what society thinks is, quote, normal, like avoiding debt, for example, it might seem weird at first, and that is totally okay. We want you to be weird if that means that you're doing things intentionally, including how you spend your healthcare dollars. And one way to be intentional is with Christian Healthcare Ministries. CHM isn't health insurance. They're a health cost-sharing ministry that's helped hundreds of thousands of families like yours take care of healthcare costs without sacrificing their freedom. So find out more and join at chministries.org/budget. That's chministries.org/budget. Okay, so I want to break down kind of the three main ideas that I took away from the book and the pros and the cons of them. So, number one, he would say we don't need a bunch of wealthy 70-year-olds who are now tired of traveling. And actually, when it comes to their day-to-day life, there's just not that much, that they need to spend money on, but yet they could potentially have millions and millions of dollars. And what their plan is when they die, they're going to pass that on, to their kids or give it away to charity and all of that. So the interesting thing with the kids is, what if you just started giving them more money now and let them use it in their current lives? Like we said earlier, a lot of them in their 20s and 30s, if it's there, they're going to benefit from that money, I would say even more in that age range versus, if they die at 80 and you hand it down to your 60-year-old kids, well, they're fine at that point. Then it's going on to the grandkids. So if that makes sense, I really did. I was like, man, I love that idea, because part of changing your family tree is helping your kids. And again, it's a very fine balance, because you don't want to just throw a bunch of cash at your kids. And again, not everyone has that ability to. I understand that fully. If you're on the baby steps, you're probably thinking, okay, Rachel, that's great for someone else. But if you have that mindset, there is something about intentionally, when you give money or spend money that your kids are able to use for assets or for themselves, it's a really beautiful thing. Now, the con is that your kids still need to build character. There's dignity that they still have to work and they still have to provide for themselves. So it's almost like you don't want to give them so much so they don't have to do anything. But could you give them enough while you're still alive to help them start off on the right foot? It's an interesting concept. All right, number two is, if you're planning to donate a large sum of your money, do it now. So he would say, you get to see the impact of your generosity and be able to see what is happening in the world from your generosity. And again, instead of waiting to die with possibly millions in the bank, if you're investing in all of that, you don't get to see that. And I'm like, man, there is something powerful. If you want to do something with that money and help people, help them in today's world if you can. That's why I'm always pro giving, right? We always talk about that even on the budget. It's like the top line item, but this is more of a magnified idea. So give even more and don't just wait till you're dead. I'm like, yeah, I like that. Now, the con is, obviously, the average person, we're not Bill Gates and don't have massive amounts of money to throw at places now. But again, it's more of that concept. Can you live more in the present with your money instead of waiting for decades and decades down the road? I don't know. It's a good question. All right, number three is enjoy your money earlier on. So a little disclaimer here, because I never want to say that you should just rack up tons of debt and go do whatever you want with your life. No, because that's going to end up bringing you less happiness and less enjoyment. So again, this book, there's parts of it that I was like, okay, this is for people that, maybe further down the road, financially speaking. But his big point was, again, instead of this hoarding mentality and saving kind of that scarcity mindset, that you're thinking, okay, what if you just spent some of it? And y'all, I am here to tell you, Like, we talk to people on the Ramsey Show who are on baby steps, 4, 5, 6, even 7. And they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so scared to spend money. And we like ask them some questions. And there's been plenty of calls that I'm like, go on a cruise, like go spend some of your money and enjoy it and do it while you're able-bodied and you're able to go and do things and experience things. And there's just something beautiful about doing that with people that you love. And, I think about like going to concerts. And if you have the ability to be like, yeah, I'm going to buy another ticket and bring a friend with me, right? Or traveling or like whatever you want to spend money on. Again, I lean more experiences. I think you get some joy out of that than just buying a bunch of like purses. But there's something about saying, okay, I don't want to have this scarcity mentality. I want to be able to enjoy some of my money. And we want you to do that. We say live like no one else, so later you can live and give like no one else. And that's part of that second part of the statement. But instead of waiting until you're 80 years old to start enjoying it, enjoy some of it now. So I really like that. Now, the con of that is the baby steps. We never want you to put that on the back burner. I want you to progress quickly and efficiently with your money. And so some people could read this book and be like, oh my gosh, she's telling me just to go and spend everything I have and enjoy my life. So that YOLO mentality, it's somewhat there, but I want you to have a strong financial foundation and the actual margin to be able to do it. But that's what I love about the baby steps is it can get you there, in a reasonable time. So the author, he's kind of a little lukewarm on like 401ks and that kind of thing. And I'm the opposite. I do think generational wealth is a beautiful thing. And I would not recommend trying to die with zero. But I loved that it stretched me some. I think it did give me permission to a degree to be like, okay, yeah, let's go and enjoy it. Let's go and do that. Like, I don't know. There was something about it that was freeing to me. But I would say read it with some, with some warning. I think, again, some people could read it and be like, oh my gosh, I'm going to go and just cash out everything and just live my best life. We want to be wise. We want to be smart. And I would not want to go and spend or give all the way down to zero before I die, because that is scary. You want money, up until you're dead for sure. And if you had some left over, that's good too, right? So again, there's just this different concept, which I really appreciated and I liked. So I'm glad that I read the book. And I would be curious, what you guys think about it. And, I had Dr. Arthur Brooks on the show, and he did talk about ways that money actually does bring joy and happiness. And the one thing it doesn't is when you just buy a bunch of stuff, that materialism and all of that. So when I hear him say that, and then I read this book, I'm like, man, there is a beautiful thing of giving today, enjoying your money today, maybe helping your kids more than you thought you would today if you can. So again, there's some great stuff, but the reality check too is after years of working the baby steps, that foundation still has to be laid first. Now, if you thought this episode was interesting and you want to check out my episode on the book that changed how I think about money, that one is next. Remember, you guys, to take control of your money and create a life you love. All right, I'm not normally one for comparison, and I firmly believe that your value is not on how much money you make. Your net worth is not your self-worth. But in America's economic landscape, it is evolving constantly, and sometimes it is helpful to keep track of your progress based on those around you. So today I did want to share some recent stats on salary ranges so that you can see where you fall among other Americans. And later I'll share 3 tips for using your income to build wealth. So before we get started, make sure to subscribe and share this episode with a friend. All right, according to the most recent data from Pew Research, the median income for middle-class households has reached more than $106,000. So the full range for middle-income households is around $56,600 all the way up to $169,800. That is really middle income households. So lower income households earned $56,600 or less, and upper class households earned more than $169,800. So that's the range. And I'll be honest, when I read that, it felt like, oh my gosh, like the middle class, like I'm like that, it like earning a lot to reach that middle class, status, because yes, on the lower end it is around that $60,000 mark, which is usually where we find 60 to 70 is usually the average, not the median, but the average household income. But when you look across the board of all of it, like of how much money it takes today to live and survive, and it continues to change. When I even think back when I entered the workforce 15 years ago, like how different things have changed. It is amazing to look over time. But I think it always is good to get a range on recent data just to know, again, where you are. But that wide range is so true, especially for that middle income tier. And I'm sure there are families out there who make, $170,000 and they don't really feel like they're upper class necessarily. And again, we see that this is so true when you look across America, because the averages, again, are anywhere from California to Ohio. And if you make $170,000 in California, that's much different than Ohio when you take into everything that comes into account with taxes and all of that. And also remember that salaries are temporary. They're naturally or should be going up over time. But these figures should give you a ballpark for where you fall. And no matter where that is, it is so important to know that it's possible to build wealth no matter where your starting point is. And because income is your most powerful wealth building tool, there's a couple of things to keep in mind as you're working towards your next financial goal. So before we dive into that, I did want to tell you about one of our sponsors, Delete Me. I saw a headline recently that really caught my attention. 1/3 of the U.S. population's background info is now public. So for 115 million of us, data breaches mean our info is out there for anyone to find. And this is stuff like our names, addresses, phone numbers, and way more. And that is why I love and use Delete Me, because they go in and find and remove your information from hundreds of data broker websites that buy, sell, and trade your personal data. So take control of your online privacy with Delete Me. Individual Delete Me plans start as low as $9 a month. So sign up today at joindeleteme.com/Rachel for 20% off, or click the link down in the description. Now, like I said, income is the most powerful tool that you have when it comes to building wealth. And now that you have an idea of kind of where you stack up financially, here's how I want you to use your income to reach the next milestone. Number one, make sure your current full-time job has growth opportunity, meaning over time, your income should be increasing. That is the goal, right? So whether it's you're stepping up in different positions or with a different company, or if you're at the same company, that you're continuing consistently to get raises because you are becoming more valuable with your experience. And over time, that income should go up. And also know that your income should be sustainable for your lifestyle. Now, there are seasons of sacrifice that maybe you go and earn extra income because you're getting out of debt and all of that. But again, overall, not counting that, just your lifestyle in general should be sustainable when it comes to your full-time salary. Now, number two is you might consider a side hustle. Like we were just saying, if there is something that, you're trying to get out of debt or you're trying to reach that next milestone, maybe even for a big dream vacation. You're like, hey, we could speed this up if we had some more cash. Maybe you're trying to build up an emergency fund. Like whatever it is, just say, okay, there is a goal that I have out there and maybe a side hustle can help, but that goal has an end in sight, because that's what's key. You don't want to have your full-time job and work extra for your whole life. That's not the goal here. The goal is to say, okay, maybe I do take on a side hustle for a period of time because I'm trying to reach the specific goal. But once that goal is accomplished, I can go back just to my full-time job. And that is enough to sustain our lifestyle. Now, if you do a side hustle, I have found that when you go straight to the consumer, you're going to make more money. And what I mean by that is like, tutoring or private coaching, music lessons. If there's some way that you can go straight to that consumer, you're going to probably make more than having a middleman, meaning like an Uber or something, right? I mean, those are great side hustles. And if you want to do that, you can still make some great money. But if you do have this like knack about you, like this little niche something that something or able to do something that another person can't, and you can go straight to the consumer, do that because you're going to find more money. That's what we found. And number three is to live on less than you make. This is how your income can be used as a wealth building tool, because you're using it and you're going to have margin on what you have to live off of. And that margin is going to help you with your next financial goal. So whether that is, again, getting out of debt or an emergency fund, that's great. But even if you're looking long-term and you're investing or you're doing things beyond just, paying for your needs this month, that margin is going to be so crucial, and your income is going to be the way to get that. Now, if you need a tool to help you when it comes to your budget, make sure to check out EveryDollar, because when you are able to budget, you're able to find that margin and know where your income is going. And that is so crucial, again, to building wealth, because your income is your largest wealth building tool. Now, learning to follow a monthly budget can be really tricky at first, especially if you've never used a spending plan. So if you want to check out my episode over here on 22 expenses to cut that you won't even miss for a jumpstart, make sure to check that out. And if you're listening on podcast, I will leave a link below. All right, you guys, remember to take control of your money and create a life you love. So there are so many theories and strategies out there when it comes to handling money that are actually risky and unreliable. So today I'm going to be sharing 6 habits or traps that you should never trust. But more importantly, I'm sharing what you should do instead. So be sure to like, subscribe, and share this episode with a friend. All right, first up is using buy now, pay later methods. These are things like Afterpay or Klarna. And whenever you are checking out now, there's always this option to be like, hey, do you want to break up this purchase in payments? And the thing is it doesn't feel like a big deal, but what that is debt. You're not paying for something in full. And so you can actually tend to overspend. And that is what they have found time and time again, is that people end up spending so much more money and overspending when using these products. So not only are you having to, pay freaking like for 4 months for a sweater when you choose this option, but also you look at the payment, you're like, oh, it's not that much. I'll add on a little bit more. I was planning on spending $70, but now it's like, oh, that's not too bad. It's only like, $15, $18. So I'll just add a little bit more. So don't do this, okay? Pay for everything in full. Do not spread out your purchases in payments. So what you want to do instead is save up and pay cash. Keep a monthly budget and understand, okay, here are my expenses. And when you save up for something, you spend it. If you need a monthly budget, that is going to help you so much to know where your money's going, because it really takes your income. And when you're budgeting, you're like, okay, where do I want my income to go? It's really you telling your money what to do. If you need a great budgeting app, check out EveryDollar because it is fantastic. All right, number 2 is opening store credit cards to get a discount. Yes, this is a trap where it's like, hey, you want to save, 10%, 15%, 20%? Well, that turns into 25% interest really, really fast, and it's not worth taking on additional debt for. So no, say no to the store credit cards. Instead, again, budgeting, saving up for things you want, and really have this mindset that you're not trading short-term moments of like, ooh, this feels good. I want to do this. It feels like I'm getting a deal for your long-term goals, right? So you're actually taking and thinking through the long-term when you're saying no to debt, even store credit cards. All right, number 3, lease a car to avoid big payments. So a lot of people do this because if you go and take out a traditional loan for a car, your payment is going to be higher than it is if you go and lease one. But leasing is basically like renting a car instead of owning it. And there's so many restrictions. Even if you want to get out of the lease, it can be very difficult. If there's too many miles on it, wear and tear on the car, like all of this stuff, it ends up being very expensive. In fact, Money Magazine talks about how leasing a car is the most expensive way to finance a car. So stay away from it. Instead, buy a reliable car, a used car, in cash. Yeah. So listen, if you have a car payment right now and you can't pay it off in 18 to 24 months, if you cannot pay off this car that you have currently with a loan on it, in less than 2 years, you need to sell it. And what you'll do, even if you're underwater, let's say you owe $30,000 and you can only sell it for $25,000. Well, go take a $10,000 loan from the bank, $5,000 to make up the difference, to get rid of it, and then $5,000 to buy a used car, a crappy car, right? But at least it'll get you through. Pay that off. Pay off the loan, the $10,000 loan, and then keep saving up, and then you can move up in car slowly and gradually. Do not go and fall for the idea of leasing and even taking on debt for a car. It's just not worth it. All right, one thing I cannot live without, though, when it comes to my online safety is Delete Me. Because if you don't remove your personal data from the internet, it's basically like a billboard for everyone to see, because your name, your address, your email, even your kids' names are out there on sketchy data broker websites. And those websites, those data brokers, then will sell your data to other companies, and that puts you at risk for scams and fraud. But the good news is Delete Me removes your data and helps protect you from phishing, harassment, and other online threats. Winston and I use and love Delete Me because it saves us so much time and worry. So you guys, your family's safety and financial security are way too important to leave exposed. So sign up for Delete Me and take control. Go to joindeleteme.com/Rachel for 20% off, bringing your monthly cost to under $9, or you can click the link in the description. All right, another bad habit. Number 4 is only making minimum payments to keep cash flow open. So this is a trap because you're actually paying thousands more than what you actually owe because of interest. But a lot of people will say, well, I need this cash flow over here. And so if my debt is there, I'll just keep the minimum payment going and it's no big deal. But the amount of interest that is on credit cards now, you guys, it is so high. I feel like it keeps getting up and up and up and up. And you're continuing to pay for stuff that you've already done and already experienced and food you already ate and all the things. So looking and saying, okay, you know what? I'm going to get out of debt as quickly as possible. So you want $1,000 in the bank. That's going to be your starter emergency fund. And then you're going to start paying off all of your debt, including those credit cards from smallest to largest. And that is going to help get you out of debt quickly and get out of this minimum payment cycle. So you will pay minimum payments for some of the debt while you're paying off the smallest. But man, once you get to it, you keep knocking it off because I want you debt free, including those minimum payments. All right, number 5 is skip insurance to save money. So one emergency room visit or car wreck or a home repair can honestly wipe you out financially. And so knowing that things are going to happen in life and you don't want to completely derail your financial progress, you want the right insurance in place. The Ramsey Coverage Checkup will walk you through a process to know exactly what insurances that you need. Because yes, you also don't want to pay for insurances you don't need. And some out there are a scam and you end up wasting so much money on them and you don't even need them. So the idea is getting the insurance that you actually need, but to see what you need, I'll put a link down below and check that out to go through kind of your life and knowing, okay, are we fully covered? Do we have everything that we need when it comes to insurances? Because life is expensive and insurance, it's great because it's there when something happens. All right, number 6 is invest in trendy, get-rich-quick schemes. So there are so many things out there, you guys, and it's not even like ones that are recent. Like there's other ones that they're just not great. Like I was talking to a guy, he's like, I'm investing in gold. I'm like, don't invest in a commodity because it goes up and down depending on the fear of what's going on in the culture. No, invest and put your money in something that has a long-term track record. So even things like gold, crypto, and I would say even single stocks in this because it can be very, very risky. So the thing is you want something that is pretty much bulletproof for the long haul, and that is going to be putting it in the market. I mean, so whether it's an index fund or a mutual fund, but putting something that you can see long term, it's going to be great, right? There may be dips for sure, but long term, it keeps going up, and that is what we want. And so contributing 15% of your income into retirement, so this is things like a Roth IRA or your 401k, be doing this after you are out of debt. And it is boring. It is not exciting. It is not flashy. But man, can I just tell you, it works. It works every time. Talk to a couple that's been doing it. You know, they're 60 years old and they've been doing it since they were 25. They will retire millionaires. Like they will. If you consistently invest, you guys, especially 15% of your income, it is amazing what can happen over the long term. But it's not get rich quick. It's not flashy, not exciting, but your wealth will grow. All right, when it comes to financial traps, some are more obvious than others. So to steer clear of one of the biggest and worst money traps, check out the $1 billion scheme you didn't know you were a part of. Click here to watch it, or if you're listening on podcast, I'll leave a link below. All right, you guys, remember to take control of your money and create a life you love. In the financial world, there's always buzz around retiring early and kind of hacking the system when it comes to investing for the future. So if you're someone who's eager to retire early, here are 6 questions you need to ask yourself. And be sure to like, subscribe, and share this episode with a friend. All right, the first question to ask yourself is why? Why do you want to retire early? So if you've ever thought about it, it's kind of like, once I retire, everything is just going to be easier and perfect and great. If that's your expectation, let's re-examine that, because to have a quality life, you really do have to have a purpose. Like this idea of just living in the abyss never really helps. And actually studies show that your decline physically and mentally can happen so quickly in retirement if you do not have something else you're doing. And then also loneliness can really happen as well. So here's the thing. People like see work as such a negative thing in this kind of connotation. But the truth is, if you find the work that you love and that's what you do and that's how you earn a living, then that is really the goal. That's one of the goals in life, right? We spend so many hours of our lives working. And if the only thing you're doing is to run away from that, I think that there can be a huge letdown. Now, yes, is there flexibility? And maybe you can do something different that you've always wanted to do that doesn't pay as much as your normal job now, like all of that. Absolutely. And I'm not saying you have to work into retirement, but this idea of kind of running away from retirement because you don't want to work may not be the best motivation. Just throwing that out there. All right, number 2, do you have a great financial advisor in your corner? Because beyond investing, there are other things that you want in place, from estate plans, insurances, taxes, your will, like all of that. You want to make sure you have really shored up, because in order to retire early, you're obviously going to have the funds to do that. But you also want to look at your whole financial picture. And so I always recommend working with a SmartVestor Pro. I'll put a link down below so you can connect with one in your area. But having someone in your corner, you guys, regardless of if you want to retire early or not, is so, so wise, because when they can look at your entire financial picture, you're able to plan really well and plan based on facts, not emotion or what's happening in that moment in the market. You can look at your overall financial picture, which is wonderful. Number 3, ask yourself, do I have enough money to cover my monthly expenses? So yes, you want to look at the interest that your investments are earning, the principal of that interest and all of it, and want to make sure that you can realistically live off of this for a long period of time. Because some people, they rush so quickly into retirement and they're like, well, I'm not going to have a lot of bills. I'm going to live really below my means and not live this extravagant life so that I can retire early. And then as you go on in your life, let's say you're crazy and you retire at like 45, 65-year-old you may want like a bougier life, right? And then you're like stuck because you're like, well, I thought I was going to live at this level, but I kind of want to do more and live better, right? So you have to be thinking long-term, not just short-term. Now, to check your progress when it comes to your investments, to make sure you have enough, you can check out the Ramsey Investment Calculator. I love this calculator because you just plug your numbers in, see what everything is doing, change some numbers, just kind of play along with it, because it is really fun to be able to see and change things so you can know what kind of progress you need to make over the long term. And speaking of amazing online resources, I have to tell you about one of our sponsors, Delete Me. So if you don't remove your personal data from the internet, it's basically like a billboard for everyone to see. And that's your kids' names, your address, your email, everything is out there on sketchy data broker websites. And those data brokers sell your data, and that puts you at risk for scams and fraud. But the good news is Delete Me removes your data and helps protect you from phishing, harassment, and other online threats. So your family's safety and financial security are way too important to leave exposed. So go to joindeleteme.com/Rachel for 20% off their annual plans, bringing your monthly cost to under $9 a month, or click the link in the description. I also want to tell you about a sponsor that offers incredible support as you work the Ramsey plan. Fairwinds. So if you're working the baby steps, your bank should not be working against you. That is why I love Fairwinds Credit Union. They share Ramsey values like getting out of debt, saving for the future, and putting people first. Their smart checking and savings bundle were designed to line up with the baby steps, and their customer service is top tier, you guys. They are amazing. So if you're ready to move your money somewhere that supports your financial goals, head to fairwinds.org/Ramsey to open up your smart checking and savings bundle today. All right, back to the list. Number 4, do you have enough money to do the things you want to do? So yes, you have to pay your utility bill and maybe some medical bills. And there are going to be things that come up, Christmas and birthdays and groceries, right? Like there are things that you're going to have to do to have a classic standard of living, even into retirement. But then also, as we were saying, that your 65-year-old self might be a little bougier than your 45-old self. Think about do you have dreams to travel? Do you have dreams to do things in retirement that you're not doing now? So you want to make sure you're counting all of that as well, not just your regular expenses. Because again, some people go in and they kind of get the bare bones to try to retire early. And what happens is the retirement life does not look like the life that they dreamed. So obviously retirement does not mean like you hit the lottery, but it does mean that you finally get to use those investments that you were investing decades before this point of retirement, which is amazing. Right? You have a whole nest egg there waiting for you to do things that you want to do. So making sure that you have enough money in there for it to not only pay for your standard of living that you want to be at, but also to be able to do some fun things as well. Number 5, ask yourself if your house is paid off. So paying a mortgage during retirement totally can be done for sure. But it is so much easier when your house is already paid for, because usually the biggest expense that comes in a monthly budget is housing for rent or a mortgage. And if you don't have a giant house payment, your retirement money is going to go further. So paying off your house before retirement, maybe make that a goal. All right, up next, number 6, what do you want your financial legacy to be? So ask yourself this, because if you're heading into retirement, again, maybe at a younger age, but be thinking about the long term and not just you, but everyone else that follows you, right? Whether it's friends or family, like what do you want to do with it? I read this book called Die with Zero. I've mentioned it a couple of times on here, but he talks about using all of your money while you're alive, whether it's giving or helping your kids or using it to travel or to treat friends to stuff, like whatever it looks like. Like, is that what you want to do? Or do you want to leave a giant nest egg to your kids and then maybe some to your grandkids and keep it going? Do you want to leave a large donation to something that you care about and be really generous with that money? Like whatever it is, I want you to be intentional though about your generational financial legacy, because building wealth, it shouldn't just be so inward focused where it's all about us. It is about other people. It is about changing your family tree and being extremely generous. So don't forget that part. Now, there are a few more questions that you may want to ask yourself as well. So make sure to check out the episode 9 questions to help you choose the right financial advisor. That one's coming up next. Or if you're listening on podcast, I will leave a link below. All right, you guys, remember to take control of your money and create a life you love.